That's the hardest thing I've ever had to do because I love that with my heart and soul.
Pascalle Bergmans is an accomplished speaker and actress.
I was 4 years old when I started on stage. Then 5 years ago, I had to stop being in musical theatre shows.
While that wasn't easy, that didn't stop her from reinventing herself.
So I knew very quickly that I was not going to go back on stage, and slowly started learning a bit more about the ways of the world, worked my way up, and noticed everywhere where I worked that people were so bad at presenting.
As the founder of PresenTales, Pascalle helps senior leaders and executives to deliver their story with passion and impact.
So that's when PresenTales was born. When I launched my business, I did a lot of free coaching. I just wanted to find out what people struggle with, because when there's a problem, there's always a pattern.
The quick growth of PresenTales is due to her unique combination of being authentic and 20 years of experience of being in musical theaters and the ability to apply that to the corporate world.
And that's something nobody can ever take away. I'll be forever grateful for that, because we wouldn't be here today if they didn't teach me that.
I'm your host, Gabe Marushka, with the Nomad Entrepreneur Show. And I know you're curious to know why Pascalle stopped her acting career, or how did she grow her multi-six-figure business in just under 2 years without full-time employees, and most importantly, how you can apply her learnings and tactics into your own life and business. And we are going to cover all of that and much more. But before we do, I have something very important to tell you. Last year, I spent more than 100 hours researching, recording, editing, and pushing this show out there. And if you don't know, the Nomad Solopreneur Show is finally on YouTube now, so you can enjoy it even more. And I will republish some of the episodes that I recorded last year, including the most popular one, the episode with Chris Doe. So if you enjoy this show, and if you like to support me in this journey, head over to YouTube and please subscribe to the show. That will mean the world to me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, let's chat with Pascalle.
I think if you'd asked me all those years ago that would I think that I would ever have my own business, I'd be like, no, are you crazy? How did that all come about? I was 4 years old when I started on stage.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, a long time, right? My mother played Tinkerbell in Peter Pan, and I just fell in love with being on stage. And I fell in love with how we interact as humans, right? So if I put on a wig and I put on a different way of walking and a little accent, then you might believe I'm someone completely different. And I loved that idea that you could be whoever you wanted to be and make people believe and feel for you and whatever really you wanted to do. So you were in complete control. And I think, being a bit of a control freak, that was really nice. So I, ended up doing all kinds of children's theatre. Then I moved to Amsterdam to do my bachelor's. Then I went to the UK because I wanted to be on international stages. And I felt that Holland is a small country. It's a great country, but it's a small country. And I felt like there were more opportunities there as well. So after doing a couple of shows in the Netherlands, I moved to the UK and I did my Masters of Arts on musical theatre, obviously, in Guildford. And then I ended up on the West End. So I did the whole sort of trajectory. And just in terms of what is the West End to theatre performance, that's sort of like the senior executive leadership role in corporate. It's the highest form of promotion you could possibly think for, yeah? So then 5 years ago, I had to stop being in musical theatre shows and just doing anything really, because I got paralyzed on the left-hand side. I had a basilar problem in my brainstem. So yeah, that was over and that was it. So I knew very quickly that I was not going to go back on stage. Then we had COVID and everything coming in between as well. So I knew my career was done. And then I had a choice, right? I could either feel really sorry for myself and sort of be like, oh, boo. Or I could go make something of myself. But the big problem was my whole degree and my whole life had been dedicated to musical theatre. I didn't do maths. I dropped maths as soon as I could. So I was very useless to society. So I started working as a receptionist, as an admin assistant here and there, and slowly started learning a bit more about the ways of the world. worked my way up and noticed everywhere where I worked that people were so bad at presenting. And I noticed that I got promoted really quickly because I was so good at communicating and a lot clearer in my communication, a lot more entertaining in my communication. So I figured, oh, maybe I can teach people how to do that, right? Instead of having to work in corporate. So that's when PresenTales was born. After I did a couple of jobs. I worked in finance, I worked in tech, I worked in media. And then I was like, no, can't do this anymore. It must be so much better to work for yourself, which, I mean, it has its pros and cons. But yeah, so then I started PresenTales in September of 2022. And well, here we are in December 23, and we're still going.
And time flies when you're having
Yeah.
fun.
Having
Yeah.
fun, also being ridiculously busy and stressed out most of the time.
Yeah, that's solopreneurship for sure, and entrepreneurship world in general. But what I love about your story that no matter what life throws at us, you still find a way to succeed in your own path. And even that at the beginning, you jump from jobs to jobs after you were forced to quit the theater world, you still find a way to use your voice. And this process of noticing that there is a need in the market for such a service until putting into practice, how all this process unfold for you from spotting the gap until
Yeah.
to coming up with something useful?
So it started with colleagues, right? So I my first job, my first real, grown up job, I was the head of a D&I committee. And I had to do all these presentations, and people were like, "Oh, you're good at that. You're funny and you seem comfortable." I don't have that. Can you teach me how? So that was the first time that I was like, oh, yeah, I was sharing some of my theater experience, some exercise that we did for your voice, for your body language. And I was like, oh, it's quite sort of interchangeable. So then I started offering my help because I was bored as hell most of the time in that job. So I was like, hey, if people want to do this. So I opened up this sort of public speaking hour every Friday where people could come in and I would talk about public speaking. So that started there. And then the company was like, hey, would you like to do a workshop on this? So I was like, oh, yeah, that seems like fun. So I created this workshop for the company where I talked about how to speak with confidence, how to use your voice, your breathing, and all that stuff. And people loved it. People were like, whoa, can I have some like one-to-one time with you separately and I'll pay you for it? And I was like, oh,
Nice.
okay, this is lucrative. So, and I charged like £12. It's 12 pounds for half an hour. So £24 an hour. Look at me go, like a real Rockefeller. And I started helping people. And I noticed that with my knowledge of being on stage and storytelling and using the voice, and basically everything I'd learned in my musical theater career was so easy to translate into normal day-to-day business communication. So that's when I started building the program that I offer right now, which is all about helping people to present and to speak in their own way. Because I know we have Toastmasters and there are loads of courses online, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to badmouth any of that. But these places are really good for exposure and to give you an idea of what good public speaking looks like. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't look at you as an individual. And for me, that's what I missed when I saw people present. I was like, we're missing the authenticity here. Like, how can I, if you're someone who talks with their hands a lot, yeah, how can I use that to your advantage instead of trying to take it all away and make you into this perfect Muppet? Yeah. So that's how it all started. And that's how I started building what I've got now. So when I started the business and I started coaching people, I already had all of this legacy information and training material that, I'd used before.
That's interesting because often people just use something that is already there and they add their own spin to it and they push it out and, hey, I have a business. But you not only notice a gap in the market, you wanted to do it in a way that has not been done before. And tapping into authenticity of individuals, I think is a really underrated way to do so. Because instead of apply this template, apply that thing, apply that will work for you as well, often doesn't. How did you make sure your program addressed that in order to be able to, no matter who attends your program, will be able to grasp the best of it?
When I launched my business, I had a lot of free calls. I did a lot of free coaching and I did a lot of free sort of power hours. I just wanted to find out what people struggle with so I could see if there was a pattern. And there was, right? Because when there's a problem, there's always a pattern. So I noticed a pattern of there's insecurity. So what happens with how can we build confidence? Then we had the use of the voice. So how can we have a stronger voice? So I had loads of information on that. Then we had body. So every single aspect of public speaking, I asked loads of questions about that. I figured out, okay, this is what people struggle with. Because if you can find out what people struggle with, then you can build a solution for that. Yeah. A lot of people do it the other way around. They are like, I've got this great idea, I've got this great product, and then they start applying it to the market. It's no, figure out what the problem is. Yeah. And then make your solution. So I think that's why it's been such a success, because I looked at what people need in the world that we live in today, instead of going, well, I've got this bunch of experience and I'm going to just tell you that you should use it. So then when I made the product and just the whole process, I went back to those people, was like, hey, if I write it down like this, or if I explain it to you like that, do you understand it? And I gathered a lot of feedback. And that's a part that I think a lot of people skip. They don't ask for feedback. So my first couple of clients, I'd be like, hey, how did I do at the end? And I'd send them a Google form to go, okay, how would you rate this session? Was there anything unclear? What do you think could have been better? I've always asked the questions that you really don't want the answers to, because I was insecure, right? You just start this business, you're really proud of it, you want everybody to love it. But I had to ask the hard questions in order to make sure that the more I started to charge, the better the product was. And well, now we're not charging £24 an hour anymore. We're charging a lot more than that. But because we worked so hard on that product.
Yeah, that's the thing. You often arrive at the point you want to start your business, you want to charge high tickets from the beginning. But at the end of the day, it's just, as you mentioned, finding out what exactly is the problem that you will be able to solve and asking the right questions, and especially for those that you work with. And it can be free coaching, it can be free service providing, it doesn't have to be paid from the beginning. You even made some bucks, yeah. Small, but you did at the beginning, and asking that feedback early on is so important. That's we. So, can you please tell me about the structure of your business right now?
Yeah, of course. We've kept it quite simple. So the structure of my business, because I'm a one-woman show, I run this business on my own. But when I talk about I talk about the freelancers that I used or use right now, and my husband. So my husband is a big part of this business as well. He helps out a lot with the strategy, because as you might be able to tell, I'm more of the creative brain. He is the left side brain type. Okay. Now, the structure of our business is I do all of the coaching and I also do all of the marketing. So I've got LinkedIn where I post every single day. And that goes from sharing tips and tricks to sharing case studies to sharing what it's like a day in the life of me, because people at the end of the day buy people, they don't buy products. So I do that, and I make sure that I really establish the brand as me, because right now, with me being the only coach, the brand needs to represent me and I need to represent brand. And then the business itself, we have a bunch of clients and they all get public speaking coaching. That's it. We only do public speaking coaching and keynote creation. So we help people literally from A to Z. So they come in, they're like, I've got this big presentation coming up and I want to come across great because I need to sign clients, or I want to get a promotion, or whatever their goal is. And we go, okay, let's look at some previous speaking opportunities that you've had. So whether they're podcasts or webinars or anything that you have, and I go and analyze them. And I go, okay, this is what we can work on. We can work on that. And I always have a big old file with stuff. Yeah. And then we go through a strategy call. So, because I want to understand what they want to get out of it. What does good look like to them, so that we are all on the same page, right? Again, this is a step that gets overlooked a lot. What does good look like to your client instead of just to you, right? They're buying from you. It's their process. And then I make the program. So everything we do is tailored. And people say, wow, doesn't that take a lot of time? I'm like, no, because everything that could possibly come up, I have covered with someone in the past. So yes, in the beginning, it took a lot of time to create all of these processes. But now I just go, oh, okay, I've got that slide and that piece of information and this thing and that thing, and I can just make their program. And then we start to cover that. So that's the one-to-one coaching side of it. Then we also do the group coaching. So we have a couple of different workshops that we offer that people can buy. So it could be a storytelling workshop, it could be a public speaking workshop, it could be a combination. And then we lastly have our online course as well, which is I started this business because I wanted public speaking to become more accessible to more people, no matter their budget. And this online course does that. So it helps people to go, okay, I can do this for £200, which is not the end of the world, right? It's not 2 grand. And then people can go and try that out, and they can get an idea of what public speaking coaching is, and they can get a start of their journey on towards becoming a better speaker. So those 3 things, right? We've got the course, the online course, right? We've got the one-to-one coaching and the group coaching. Those 3 things are what we do. It's all the same content, roughly. It's just done in a different way. So it's either a bit more high level or a bit more deeper level if we go towards the one-to-one stuff. And that's how the business is run.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love the approach because you literally apply exactly what you learn over the years by asking those questions that I put again an emphasis on, because a lot of people miss that part. Ask those questions, find the pain points, find the patterns, and then start building that solution. And while you put this together, for those that maybe want to implement a similar business model into their world, how do you went about it? First, you launch the coaching program, then the workshops, then the course, or the other way around?
No, exactly that. So I started with the one-to-one stuff because I knew that was, you could scale that to a higher ticket quicker. So, right? Because it's one-to-one time. So you're literally paying for someone's time. So I did that first. Also, when you're one-to-one with someone, you get a much better idea of what the problems are and the pain points. So then I, by accident, started doing the group workshops because someone was like, oh, do you do group workshops? And I said, yes, never done a group workshop in my life, except for the one that I once delivered for the business that I worked for. So I was like, oh, that's probably something I should consider. So bear in mind, when I started this business, I had no idea about business or entrepreneurship or anything like that. And then I started making videos on LinkedIn, and people loved those videos. Like they came for me and they were like, "Oh, we need more videos." And I'm like, "Well, why don't I just do this properly?" And I actually get a team we'll write some scripts, we'll create some modules, and all of the high level overview of the coaching that I do, which I've got a really good idea of, I'm just going to put that into a online course that people can use. So we did 2 days in London with this amazing team called Storyflow, and they did an amazing job and it was fantastic. So that's how that sort of came about. So it really just went very organically. There was no plan in place. It was just, okay, let's start with one thing, do that really freaking well, and then do the next thing instead of trying to launch 100 different things at the same time, because that will never work.
Yeah, and you end up being overwhelmed as soon as you start and not able to launch anything. Yeah, I like that. And what I love about it is that even that you started alone and as a one-woman show, you end up asking for help. As a solopreneur, you don't have to be a lone wolf. You have contractors at your disposal, you have your husband, and so on. And this is often overlooked because people imagine, oh, I'm a solopreneur, I must do everything myself. Even the godfather of solopreneurship, Justin Welsh, has an assistant. He doesn't do everything himself. And with that out of the way, please tell me at what stage you start asking for help.
Day one, I was like, I'm not cut out for this stuff. So the first thing I did when I started my business, literally the first thing was I rang up some of my friends that I knew had businesses or currently had a business. And I just went, how did you do this? What do I need to think about? What's important? Because I had no idea, right? I literally just quit my job one day to the next and went on Google, how do you start a business? That's how it went. So, and all of these friends were very kind with their time, but they all said something else. So that was not very helpful. I was like, well, some of them say build the brand first, others say build the product first. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this. So I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to do what I like. So I started doing the brand stuff, which is really dumb. Don't do that. Don't do the brand. Don't create a brand identity and brand colors when you have no idea what your brand does. Okay? That's the one thing I can tell anybody for sure. Don't start with the fun stuff. Not important.
That's active procrastination.
Free tip, okay? I built like this Squarespace landing page, which I still use today, which is really bad. It's a terrible landing page. It even says it at the top, like, this is under construction. This is shit. Don't expect our coaching is much better than this landing page. And I mean, I built a 6-figure business with that landing page. So that just goes to show you don't need a landing page, because I think I've got about 3 visitors a month on that website. Okay. So don't trust the landing page.
I would argue with
What was,
that.
I think, the most important part was starting to talk about who I am and what I do. So I took to LinkedIn, and I posted on LinkedIn once or twice before, but I never saw it as a platform for personal branding. I hadn't even heard of personal branding. And I just started sharing my story. I started sharing about what I'd done before. I started sharing some tips, some tricks. I did some LinkedIn lives. I started talking to people in the DMs. That was really powerful, because before I knew it, I had a rather large audience. They were very engaged, and my brand became me. And that was so much easier than selling this sort of alien product that is just an intangible thing. Suddenly it became me, and that it takes longer to do it that way, right? I had no marketing team or anything like that. It takes longer to do it that way. But it really helped me to build that credibility and authority in this space, to a point now where when I'm at an event, for example, people go, oh my God, you're the public speaking girl. And that's great. That's what you want. You want to get to that level. And I started asking for help when I got really busy. So at some point, I stopped eating lunch. I barely slept. I was so tired. And I was like, maybe I should get help. So that's when I got my VA, Charlotte. She's fantastic. If she's listening to this, like, she can never leave me, okay? She is amazing. And she really takes a lot off my plate. I mean, from the beginning, my partner has always been the person that had to listen to my moaning, my whining, my ideas, my crazy ideas, where he said, hey, I'm sure. And then some of them I did, some of them I didn't. So he's always been very much there. And I believe in coaching, right? Because I'm a coach myself. So I started looking at coaching. I was like, okay, I'm doing these like 5K months. I want to do more than that, right? To build a good business. So yeah, I started looking at what other people were doing, who they hired, if they'd had any help. And you just keep talking. But I think you need to really push your ego aside, because there's no space for ego here. You need to be open to help, to suggestions, even if they don't help you. Be glad if someone says, hey, have you thought about this? Because other people have been through this journey. Why would you figure it out all over again? Right? There's no point in that. So yeah, I think from the start, I've always asked help every single time.
That is probably the best thing that we can do. We can use that as a shortcut. Instead of spending probably 10 years figuring out things, making our own mistakes, why not learn from the mistakes of others and start applying right away in our business? And yeah, I cannot tell how much and how important is a VA as well, because that can save you a ton of time. When it comes to the other aspects of your business, you mentioned that you don't have a marketing team, you do all the personal things yourself, personal branding part yourself. How did you manage to drive traffic to your programs, to your product, to your online course? Organics 100% through LinkedIn, or you have other approaches?
No, it's 100% organic through LinkedIn. So like I said, it's building that personal brand, and really, and not like a mellow personal brand, right? There needs to be bright colors. It needs to have a good statement. This is what I stand for. And if you don't like it, don't follow my page. Like, you can't be bland if you want to build a good personal brand, right? Because you want to find your tribe. And you're never going to find your tribe if you're going to try and be for everybody. So don't try to be for everyone. Be who you are, and the right people will find you. And then it was a matter of writing good posts. And that is hard, because if you look at my posts from when I started, they're really long, lots of emojis, and there was just no process. Then I started writing really short posts, also still with loads of emojis, but there was a bit more design in them. But they were so small that you missed a lot of context. And now I've gotten to a point where I've taken away most of the emojis. Like, my content has really matured with me as an entrepreneur. Now I think a lot more about the design of the content, that it's easy to read. I'm not trying to sound smart, right? To go, oh, look at what I know. It's more, okay, how can I help this one person? I always write my content for one person. If I help one person today, if I make one person feel seen or heard, then my job is done. So I'm not, in the beginning, it was all about trying to go viral and trying to get lots of followers and likes. And now I'm like, I don't really care if I get 1 or 2 likes. I just want to help people with my content. And that's it, right? It became a thing of lead generation instead of trying to be popular. And I've never been a popular person, so I don't really know why I tried to chase the popularity. It just doesn't work. So yeah, it's just all been organic.
That's beautiful. And often, arguably, is the best way to do it because that, as you mentioned, you attract the right people to you. And speaking of that, a lot of people struggle to know who is their target audience, how they can find that. I would guess that boils down to those early questions.
So how do you find your target audience? Now, a lot of people think that you need to find the people that can pay you. And that's true, like they need to have money, but that's not your target audience. Your target audience are the people that struggle with the problem that you solve. That's your target audience, right? Like you want to talk to the people that need your help. Otherwise, why the hell would they follow you? Yeah. So that's your target audience. And then if you talk about like an ICP or like an ideal customer profile, then we go into, okay, who are the people that I've helped best, that have had loads of ROI on their investment with my coaching? Who are those types of people? And those are then your ICP. But a lot of people, I think, go, target audience is also your ICP. And that's not always the case. Your target audience is a bigger pool to fish from. And in that target audience, you have your ICP as well. That's how I see it personally. And that's how I write my content and how I've grown my page. And I mean, that's gone really well. So there must be some truth in it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And especially because that bigger pool, the target audience, it's in time, they'll become your ICP. If you,
They might. Yeah,
and of course, not
absolutely.
everyone.
And
Sure,
that's
that's not
fine.
everyone.
That's why we have the other offers, right? That's why I do workshops for £50 just online where people can sign up to. I do this video course. That's for also those people in that target audience that are not CEOs, that are not founders who do 100 grand a month. This is for the people who have a normal job, who just want to have a little bit of public speaking coaching, but definitely don't have the time or the money to invest in proper one-to-one coaching. And that's also fine. So having something to help as many people as possible, but again, don't try to cater to everybody. You want to still have that focus. So start with one. Once that's going and that's smooth and you can rely on that process, then you start the other thing. Don't try to do all these things at once and see which it's like fishing. You put out a lot of lines, which one bites? No. Put out one line. If you don't catch anything, put a bit more bait on the hook. Instead of, I'm just going to roll it out and put a new one out. No, just put a bit more bait on there and just wait patiently.
Yeah, that's sound advice. And speaking of advices and steps to create that perfect bait, how do you validate an idea before launching? Of course, yours are quite linked together, but for those listening that might wonder, I'm into coaching. I already have a lot of information about my target audience. I might even know my ICP. How you actually start building something? Because what you have there, that's basically evergreen. Of course, that everyone can purchase. You don't have to redo it all the time and so on. That's invaluable for a business. And you make money without you actually doing anything anymore. Of course, you still promote, but that's a small part comparing to building something. But how you validate before arriving to that point?
So I think you validate it through testing. I would put out a post and write it in a PICE format, which is pain, agitate, ideal situation, solution. Is just a marketing framework, which you can find online if you go to Google marketing framework. There's loads of them, okay? And I would just write it and I would really dig into the problem. So what is the challenge or the problem that this solution solves? Always talk about the problem. I very rarely talk about the solution. So then I put out a post and I just see how many people start messaging me about it. And if they don't, I think, okay, what could I have done better? So I might send it to a couple of my friends and go, hey, if you read this, what would you think? And then they go, oh, I think it's for this and this or X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, that's not what it's for at all. So then it's probably on my end that the messaging wasn't clear. So then I go back to the drawing board and I go, okay, so how can I make people think the right thing? And then It's trial and error. Put it out there. Sometimes a post doesn't perform very well. You get no leads from it. That's fine. That's great, because it means that you can then start analyzing. That's data. No data is data as well. And a lot of people go, oh, that didn't work. And then they forget about it. No, now try it again. This is not if you go to the gym and you want to lose weight, you don't go and do some push-ups and go, oh, now I look great. No, it takes time. You try again and again. And after a while, you're like, that's it. That's how I talk about this. And now that is a validated product, and that I can market in a way that makes people want to buy it. So yeah, it's all about just not giving up. Don't give up so easily.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the fact that you always use content to validate, to get leads, to promote your things, and to build your personal brand. When it comes to creating content, at some point you mentioned that you work with someone that was for your online course. But when it comes to creating your day-to-day content on LinkedIn, you get help with that, or that it's 100% you?
That's 100% me, which a lot of people are still surprised by that, because they're like, oh, wow, are you still writing your own content? I'm like, yes, I'm writing my own content, because nobody knows my clients better than me. Right? I speak to my clients every day. I see what they struggle with. I also see the trends of what they struggle with right now, what's coming up. Like, for example, in January, February, there'll be loads of promotions happening. So therefore, people are now getting their public speaking coaching in order, because they either have some budget left, or they're like, I really want that promotion. And in order to get it, I need to become a better communicator. So I will go harder on that type of posting. Whilst when we get to March, there's loads of conferences. So March till about June, we have event season. So I'm going to go hard on these events. Hey, do you have to present at an event this next sort of quarter? Reach out to me for this and this. So because I'm in the trenches every day, coaching my clients, speaking to the people in the DMs, I know best about what's happening. So it's much easier for me to write that content. And I do think at some point I will outsource it and I will just give all of that information to someone else. But I think for now, building the business, it's important that I write this in my tone of voice, because we're still figuring all of that out, right? That's still changing. It's still evolving. We're actually making a big product switch in January, so there's going to be a lot of repositioning. And in the first sort of 2 to 3 years of your business, you're going to be making huge leaps and bounds. You're going to be making huge changes constantly. So to keep that tone of voice in line and to have that maturity continuing, I think it's important to do it yourself. Is it time consuming? Yes. Do I feel like writing content every day? Absolutely not. Between you and me, I don't even like writing content, because I'm so busy that I'm like, at the end of the day, I don't feel like writing a post and sitting there, oh, what am I going to talk about today? But then I make that post, and the next day, I always have at least one person in my inbox who goes, that post made me feel confident. That post makes me want to try better or try harder. And I'm like, that's my job done. That's all I want to do. I just want to have a positive impact on the world. And if you can do that by as simple as writing a post and thinking about it for 10 minutes longer than if you just sort of type away, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, you have your reasoning behind it. And indeed, it's a really tough way to build a personal brand, but it's the more authentic one, because you can always outsource to a ghostwriter or whatever, but then might not be you, the tone of voice there. And that get lost in the big sea of content creators and coaches and so on. And authenticity is the number one way to differentiate yourself. And when it comes to those moments when what I will write about now, what video to create now, what idea to come up with, how you make sure that every single day you have an idea to write about or create content about it?
I've done about 18 months of posting on LinkedIn, right? So I've got a lot of content out there. So now I do a lot of repurposing. So I go back like 4 to 5 months and I go, oh, that posted well. And I might take it, tweak it a bit, and then post that. So I do that. And if I really don't know, I go in and sort of look inside myself. I go, okay, what is something that I would like to hear tomorrow morning when I wake up? Right. So those are normally like the more inspirational, motivational posts. If I really don't know, which doesn't happen that much, because I can always go back to my intake forums, for example, where people lay out their challenges and I can just pick one and start writing about it. But when I really don't know, I go into, okay, what is the first thing I want to see when I wake up tomorrow? Because for a lot of people, they open LinkedIn first thing in the morning, right? They sit on the train and they start looking at their LinkedIn feed. So that's when I really want to just share some happiness. I want to share something exciting, share something motivating and that's what I do. So I talk about how entrepreneurship doesn't have to be lonely, or I talk about how I overcame being paralyzed and becoming an entrepreneur from that, because when I started I felt really lonely and I felt like this is impossible, I can't do this. So I would have loved to see more posts of people going, hey, this is hard but you can do this. So then I go more towards the motivational side and I really just try to spread some happiness.
Yeah, that's indeed amazing. And often those kind of posts is the thing that you need to hear because you probably go through something similar and you resonate. And on that note, I would really love to hear how you overcome that moment.
So I'm not gonna lie, that's the hardest thing I've ever had to do because I love that with my heart and soul. That was everything that I was. It was what I identified as well. So that was everything to me. And when I lost that, I definitely got in a very black, dark phase of my life where I was like, what's the purpose? Right. I remember going into the office every day crying and then getting to the office, going to the toilet and splashing some cold water in my face so you wouldn't see how red I was from crying. And that was so I lived very far out of London because I couldn't afford anything else. And that was 2 hours on the train where I would just cry and eventually get to the office and put on a brave face and start the day. So that was a very hard thing to do, but I tried to just be thankful because I had a job, I had my health, or I was getting healthier, right? I had a family that loved me. I had so many things that a lot of people have to go without. So I tried to find that the gratefulness for that, I guess, and the appreciation. And I also allowed myself to be sad. I think that's really important. Like a lot of people, they sort of just go, no, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to feel bad. I'm just going to try and be positive. It's no, that I was grieving for my old self. I was grieving for my career. So I let that grief be. But I also had moments where, okay, now we're going to stop this. So I would put a timer like, okay, you can cry for 10 minutes, but after that, you're going to go back out there. And compartmentalizing my grief and scheduling my grief really helped me get through that and keep a positive mindset throughout. So I always just was, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to make this turn me into a shell of a person. I'm still going to be excited about things. And if I see something that I like, I'm going to love it. And if I see something that excites me, I'm going to scream. So I think it's just important to know who you are and what you want to get out of life. And that's something nobody can ever take away. So yeah, I just focus on the good stuff, but I also let the grief be the grief.
That's something that not a lot of people do. When something bad happened to them, they just, I'm the strongest person in the world. I won't share a tear. I won't grieve this moment. And at the end of the day, that accumulate and then you implode. And that's not ideal. And even that was a tough moment for you, look what you built. And I'm sure you are, and you should be proud of yourself.
Yeah, it is. I mean, sometimes because I talk about it so much, it almost takes away how hard that was because I talk on a lot of podcasts. I talk about this in keynote speeches. But sometimes you take this moment to go, wow, I did that. And it's something that, like I said, it's a strength that nobody can ever take away from you. So I think it's having the courage to be scared, to let yourself be sad, but also having the courage to say, but I'm also going to be happy in the moments that I can be. And just allowing that feeling, I think it's just one of the most important things to me. And I'm very grateful to my parents who taught me how to do that. Right? They showed me that it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to fight. And they really taught me how to be honest with yourself and let those feelings be. And I'll be forever grateful for that because we wouldn't be here today if they didn't teach me that. So
Indeed. And yeah, parents are an amazing gift that most of us have. And yeah, all those learnings trying to apply in our own life and overcome these challenges is so important. And speaking of this, how do you translate that into your business? You use it as a moment when you overcome challenges or a reminder there that you can overcome anything, or how you use it?
every day, man, entrepreneurship is challenges every day.
Sure.
So, well, my husband will be able to tell you there have been moments where I've been crying on the couch and said, I'm going to quit, I'm going to quit. And I was looking up on Companies House, which is where you register your business here in the UK. And I was looking up how much does it cost to quit your business? It's £50, by the way, if you want to know. It's £50 if you want to just close down your business. And I've done that more than once, okay? Sometimes more than once in one day. So especially in the beginning, because I was so unsure if I was doing it right, and I got a lot of no, right? And today, so it's December, I get a lot of no's in December because people go, oh, can we push this to January? Can we start later? Can I pay later? And it's just, but I've learned to not link my business success to my personal success. And that was a big learning for me because in the beginning, I identified my success as the success of the business, right? So if the business was doing bad, which, I mean, I was just starting out. I'm still just starting out. I shouldn't be so hard on myself, but I was because I felt like I was failing because the business in my head was failing. So I was failing. Now, if somebody tells me, oh, this isn't for me, or no, that's too expensive, then I go, okay, cool. And that's it. I don't even feel, not for a second, do I feel bad about that because I just go, well, then it's just not for you. I don't take it so personal anymore. So I think having that distance between the business and myself is really important. And again, if I had an off day, I let myself have an off day. And a lot of entrepreneurs out there go, you need to be in the trenches every day. You need to work weekends and nights and blah, blah, blah. You don't, okay? You do not need to do that. Let me tell you what my day looks like. I wake up, I start work at 9. I don't start at crazy hours at 6 a.m. Don't do that. It's not necessary.
No cold plunges at 4?
No, there's no cold plunges here. There's nice warm showers. So I wake up, I do a workout, I have some time with my dogs, and then I start my day nice and relaxed. Okay. And then I work for a bit and then have a 2-hour lunch break. 2 hours. And that's 1 hour of hiking with my dogs and my husband, and 1 hour for me to just calm down my brain, to have some lunch and just chill. Okay. It's okay to chill as an entrepreneur. And then I work from about 2 till 6. Yeah. Now, sometimes I work evenings, but I don't work later than 10. I just don't because I'm not a doctor. I'm not saving lives. Why would I do that? I have built, and this is not to brag, it's just to give people perspective. I've built a multi 6-figure business on working, 2, 4, 8 hours a day. Yeah. And that's on average. Okay. So some weeks I work less because it's a quiet time and you need to enjoy that time. So yeah, I might work on my strategy, but I'm also just going to chill because if you're not okay and if you're not on top of your game, you're not going to be the best person for your business either. You can't pour from an empty cup. So fill up that cup. Don't listen to those people who tell you, you need to work over Christmas because you need to get ahead. No, go and have some good time with your family. Drink some eggnog, have some way too much food. Please don't punish yourself because other people make you feel bad about that. You decide what you want your day to look like. And you can decide how you want your business to operate so you can earn what you want to earn whilst working as much as you want to work. Yes, some weeks it's hard work. Yes, some weeks you need to work 80 hours, but not every freaking week. So there you go, a little rant from me. But I'm so sick of seeing those posts of people. I'm like, you don't need to do that in order to be successful. Work smarter, not harder.
100% with you. And yeah, that's the case. When I tell people, look, I just went to play tennis in the middle of the day. How can you do that? Why you don't hustle? Just build the business around my life, not the other way around. You don't have to start with, I don't know, fully book your calendar. And especially when people like DM you to spam you with, I want to fully book your calendar with leads. I don't want that. I don't want my calendar fully booked.
No, God, no. Protect that time. I coach a maximum of 3 people per day. That's it. 3 hours a day of coaching. The rest of the time, I need to just run my business, right? Because otherwise what you'll see, you'll be doing loads of new business calls. Then your whole diary fills up with coaching. And then, oh shit, not making any money. So then you get that feast and famine cycle. You don't want that. You want consistent sales, consistent coaching, and just a consistent life. So it's called a lifestyle business for a reason. This is here to facilitate my lifestyle. And I'd much rather make 100 grand a year instead of 200 grand a year, but feel chill and not be burned out. Because if you're burned out, nobody's going to make money in your business. Because if you're the one bringing in the money and you're burned out, who's going to bring in the money? No idea.
Exactly. And speaking of that, because you mentioned something that is planned for January, and surprise, this episode will go out in January. Do you want to talk about that now? Or
I mean, we're
surprise?
still working on it. All I can say for sure is we're actually going to cut down on a lot of the stuff that we're doing, and we're going to go a lot more focusing on the keynotes that we're doing. So I've been writing a lot of keynotes for other people. So it's going to be a lot more keynote writing instead of just public speaking coaching. So it's going to really be that A to Z of, okay, we're going to help you to speak better, but also we're going to help you to write better keynotes. And we've got a couple of really cool things launching, which I'm not allowed to talk about yet, unfortunately. But we'll be expanding on social media. We've got some other trainers joining the team. So I'm like, woo, this is exciting. So there's loads of stuff happening, but we've got this whole shift in how we're going to talk about the business, because the business is now going to be not just Pascalle, it's going to be these other people as well. So there's some really cool stuff happening, and I can't wait to share it with everybody.
Yeah, really excited for you and can't wait to hear. And yeah, that's the thing, because for those listening that wonder, oh my God, I just want to be whole my life a solopreneur. You don't have to. At some point, you might want to be something bigger, to partner with others to build something. But for those that maybe want that, just to be the whole life a solopreneur and to want to enter into the coaching business, if you were to start all over again, what would be the steps that you will make in order to build a business that is not necessarily growing faster, but maybe smoother?
The first thing I would do is I would learn how to learn how to write on LinkedIn, learn from others. And that's the first thing I would do. And then the other thing is put some freaking systems in place. Don't worry about spending a little bit of money on making your customer journey smooth. Those are the two things I would change, because I run my business on now I need this, so now I'm going to figure out how this works. I would now, if I have to start a business all over again, I would get the systems and processes in place before I have all of those people, because it would save me so much stress. So those are my two things.
And how that system will look like for you, for example, for your business right now?
So I use Kajabi, which is a great platform that does everything for you. I use Google Drive, and I've got this very clear process in there. So people have folders, and it's very clear how things move from one folder to the next. And I use Trello, and those tools are really the ones that make my business stand every day and don't make it screw up.
I'm surprised there are not 100 tools and fancy
They're
AIs and
not.
stuff.
Oh no, none of that. No, keep it simple, people. You don't need anything very sophisticated. You just need something that works for you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Pascalle. And I would love to end with a small challenge for those listening. What's a single thing they can implement in less than 1 week in order to start their own journey as a coach?
So if you want to start your journey as a coach, look at what you do really well. Make a list of 3 things that you're really good at, and then figure out how those 3 things can become one thing that you can charge money for.
Thank you so much for sticking to the end. If you enjoyed this, you'll love the newsletter that goes with it. It's called the Nomad Solopreneur Letter, and each Tuesday after the episode is released, I release there an exclusive part that wasn't aired in this show, together with a breakdown and learnings from this episode. Head over to the show notes below to subscribe for free. Thank you, and see you in your inbox. Until next week, pura vida!